G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is an Accuracy International AX50 Anti-Materiel rifle. It is a gigantic sniper rifle used by the British Armed Forces. I'm pretty sure this one replaced the L96 or the Arctic Warfare thing. You're probably familiar with that thing if you played some shooter games from recent memory, but that's what this thing replaced, and it kind of looks like the Hecate 2, or is it the Hecate? It's some pronunciation. If the anti-material rifle from New Vegas was named after a Greek goddess, then it's Hecate. But yeah, it looks a little bit like that. So you've got the grip and stock assembly sort of looking like that, and then you've got the barrel sitting pretty high. I actually like the look of this very much. It's kind of like a modernized version of it in a way. Also, you can tell it's covered in tactical rails as well, all of which you can utilize. I'm using one for a bipod right now, which I'm going to leave on because it actually gives you a slight bit of benefit. Now, when we upgrade this thing, a lot of the stuff will have emphasis on AP cost here because we don't get this to that high damage compared to something like a Gauss rifle with the fine-tuned receiver there. But we can do a lot of damage. 528, definitely no slouch. We've got a 50% damage penalty because very hard bullet sponge difficulty for consistency reasons, of course. But another thing the mod does here is it actually gives you a little bit of a explanation of how you've fixed up the internals to make it perform better, which I think is nice attention to detail. Quite appreciate that. You can change the barrel to default heavy, which will increase your AP cost, and the light one, which will decrease weight and decrease AP cost at the cost of a tiny little bit of accuracy. It's not that much, but I'm thinking using the light barrel is the best here because this thing weighs 30 pounds right now. It's pretty heavy. And a lot of these mods have emphasizing the AP costs part of it, so I guess you want to, the model wants you to use this thing in VATS a little bit more so you can get some nice cinematic shots of using this thing, but maybe we'll do a little bit of that, but I think the animations are good enough to support it being used in first and third person, and also VATS. A lot of good things going on here. It gets a little bit more interesting with the ammunition here because you got the standard rounds which don't do much. They all draw from the same 50 caliber pool, but you can grab some tracer rounds. I guess they just put a little bit of a tracer on your thing. Great. You need science and gun nut to do that, and a little bit of fertilizer and aluminium, or aluminum if you're American. You can have some long-range sniper rounds, which will give you a gigantic bonus to range, which I think is great for a sniper weapon because some of the time, especially when you've only got 293 range, you'll find that sniping on the very edge of your long scope sort of range, you'll get a massive damage penalty. So I think that's a particularly good one. Maybe we might use this one for a unsuppressed version just so we can snipe at longer ranges, even though we'll get slightly less multipliers. It's okay. And you've also got armor piercing incendiary tracer rounds, so we're just adding stuff onto this now. Armor piercing, very nice for a weapon like this. Rifleman by itself already gives you a little bit, so punching through yet more of that armor with this kind of damage, good idea. And you can also grab some explosive rounds too if you really want to just destroy everything in your way. That requires rank 4 in gun nut and rank 2 in science, interestingly enough. And I've got a big old scope on it now, but if you want to use this thing in sort of close quarters, you can even chuck iron sights on it, which is pretty awesome. And that's actually kind of cool. I'm tempted to do that just for one version, but yeah, there you go. You have a Vortex Eagle, and I kind of like the look of the giant scope on this. It makes it look more like the New Vegas one. And you can chuck a gigantic suppressor on the front. You can have no muzzle if you want. It'll increase your range slightly. Not by much, but you'll reduce a little bit of your recoil using that on. Also, I'd like to point out the aesthetical choice of having a gigantic muzzle brake on the front of your AMR. I feel like that's the way to go. But if you want to remove that for better range, there you go. Just makes the barrel a little less interesting to look at, to be honest. And you can chuck a gigantic sausage on the front of it. And we get the ace operator thing, so now we're up to 660, which is actually quite nice. So that's good, but we'll leave the muzzle brake on for this one. We'll suppress a different one as we go along here. And you can chuck on a laser or a flashlight. I'm not going to chuck any of those doodads on this one, but they'll be there, and we'll have them on weapons as we go along. And you can use your left rail as you would with your right rail, so you could have like 3 laser sights if you want. It's an option. You don't have to do it, but you can. And you can change the magnification of your scope and a magnification of your scope in night vision. So that's nice, isn't it? And I'm pretty sure there's a see-through scopes patch for this if you feel like using that. I tend to not use that simply because I prefer just like the random switch in TV vision. It just seems a little bit more consistent. That's just a personal preference. But if you do like using see-through scopes, then I would highly recommend it. We'll go 6 times with this. 10 times, I think, is a little bit too much, to be honest. And we've got a bipod. You can fold it up or fold it down. Doesn't really matter which. And you can have a flashlight and a laser or nothing at all if you want. Very nice. And you get damage modifier if you want. I'm going to pump this up a little bit, I think. We'll go for plus 75, so it's at least somewhat comparable. Actually, hang on, we haven't got Ace Operator. Maybe we'll compensate for the Ace Operator, which we don't get, which, funnily enough, adding 25% is nowhere near the 660 we were getting, but we'll add a little bit of power there. You can chuck on some skins. You can have a rusty thing if you don't like the look of super clean guns in Fallout. Some people don't, but you know, having a well-maintained weapon, I feel like, is a mark of a true survivor, and that's the people who will be surviving in the wasteland. And you can have a tan one, which makes it look kind of gold. It's a bit gaudy. Don't really like it. But if you've got, I don't know, Fallout 4 New Vegas installed in this weapon as well, or maybe some desert-like mods to retexture the ground to look more like deserty, then I feel like that would be more in use there. Also, we've got legendary effects. I'm tempted to just grab junkies on just one of these things that I make and then just get myself hooked on every single chem, because you can just smash out tons of damage doing that, so that's kind of fun. Alright, I think I've yammered on quite long about this thing already, so we'll create a couple more and then we'll get out to where we usually shoot things. In order to get this weapon, all you need to do is finish the Jamaica Plain quest line thing. It's not really that long. It's basically a spatial puzzle just to get passwords and terminal things, but instead of the room of nothing, which is supposed to be the grand treasure, they've just said, nah, there's gonna be a big unique anti-material rifle. So this thing is one of a kind. This is the only way you can get it. They don't add it to leveled lists. You will never find enemies with it, so that's kind of cool. Unless you want to use duplicating exploits to make more of these without console commands, you're stuck with just the one. Very unique. Got a bunch of ammo too, and here's the reason why it's here. It says, this hunting rifle, as well as some ammunition for it, was donated to this expedition by one of the most respected hunters of our town, Ian Joseph Callum, who used... Wait a second. Is that Ian Callum? Is that a reference to Forgotten Guns? Maybe. And is something big game hunting in Africa. So this thing was used to kill elephants. Let that sink in. Poor elephants, what do they do to deserve that? Nothing. They're peaceful creatures. Majestic creatures. Okay, so here we are outside of Immersive Gunners Plaza, complete with crows that sit there and spy on you. We can shoot them if we want. We did shoot them. There's the rechambering animation in third person. There's the reload animation. And they've got animations for that in third person too. I think I've already mentioned this, but I'm going to show you them off right now. Before we get into combat, note how the reload animations unfortunately do not have sounds in third person. The armor we're wearing today is Tactical Plate Carrier. Looks pretty good. I've got some patches on the front because Australia, mate. And you'll also note that the AX50 is on my back at the moment because I've got classic holstered weapons, which is basically compatible with any weapon that has got the proper keywords attached to it. So that's good. Not with heavy guns, though. Heavy guns, they're a bit too big, so it ends up being weird, but it works fairly well for anything smaller than that. And let's get started, shall we? I've got a couple of different ones. This one's got a different scope and a suppressor. This one has no sights except for iron sights and no muzzle with the rusty skin. This one has the tan skin, which looks gold. It's too shiny to be tan. It's basically gold, but it's got 3 laser sights on it. It's silly, but I guess the practicality here is that it's got perfect hipfire accuracy. Like if we scope in and to see this thing, we'll be able to perfectly hipfire it from back here. So that's good. Also, this is what this thing sounds like with a suppressor. It's not very impressive. It sounds like a chew, little sneeze of a 50 cal bullet. It'll do a whole lot of damage, but it will sound like Tinkerbell farting. That is to say, very quiet. You know, little tiny fairy. She wouldn't make a lot of noise, I don't think. Anyways, let's get started with sniping. You'll note that I've got a 10-time scope on this thing now. I went back and installed that one instead. And if you look up at the corner just below my sneak attack critical notification, you've got actual icons for this weapon. Now, I'm not sure how exactly the mod works in that respect. Sometimes, like, if you use mod weapons, you can totally get away with using they'll just show up. And I'm not sure if it's to do with naming conventions or there's like patches that are happening or just when I downloaded a new version, they just added a bunch of extra guns to it. But it's really nice attention to detail, and maybe I need to pick up the next Battlefield game. I haven't played a good Battlefield game since Battlefield 1, which means I've missed one, but I missed a really bad one, or so I'm told. They're coming a little bit closer now. I'd like to maintain my stealth a little bit, so we'll stealthily sneeze at these guys. We'll get a slightly better sneak multiplier and not have to worry about using this thing too much in like full combat danger. So we're doing pretty well here. Looks like a shot to center mass will drop these guys in one shot, which is always a nice thing to have. But if push does come to shove like it has right now, I want you to note how many AP this thing uses. Rather, how much AP, if I can fix my broken English. That is to say, basically none. So, if you really wanted to, you could go full beast mode and no-scope and everyone except using VATS to do that. Because this thing, it just basically uses nothing at all. This is a big, heavy anti-material rifle, slow firing, but you can just basically shoot this thing from Monday to Sunday. And we ain't even installed the reflex sight yet because it gets better from here. So I'm guessing the mod author here, very pro VATS at the moment. Maybe he wanted to get some really cinematic shots of you shooting things with it, which, you know what? I can get behind that. Superior ballistics. I just punched right through a 50, with a 50 caliber bullet, a tree there. So that's good. I'm going to pull back a little bit because some of these guys are armed with MG42s, which, although the gunners aren't particularly accurate, they'll mess you up pretty bad. If we see something firing at us with incendiary bullets, that's an MG42. They're a little bit closer now, so I'll switch on over to the unsuppressed or unmuzzled, sorry, 50, and well, I barely got 3/4 of the way. They've got explosive bullets, by the way. That's nice. 3/4 of the way through me bloody AP bar. I'm just gonna smash all of that shots in. Look how many shots that is. It's so good. MG42 guy goes dead, and we'll try to get some nice little cheeky shots on him. We have to reload there, but we had a clean shot there whilst he was leaning out of cover. He goes down. Get some close quarters fighting happening. We get a bash kill here and there. Oh, good. The gunners have realized that the MG42s are really good, so they're picking them off their dead friends. You know what? I'm having that. Give me that. Give it. And now we're almost in nerd rage because we decided that we're going to... we're going to basically... There we go. There's a bash kill. We basically got full autoed by an MG42, and that'll do a lot of damage. You're just a basic gunner. Will explode your torso and leave your limbs standing there wondering what's supporting them. Probably a good idea to stim pack at this time because I know there's some more MG42 punks around the corner. We'll switch over to the gold one with the tan paint. And the rechambering time is slow, so, you know, using that, it's a tactically time-efficient way to deal out slightly more DPS than you could otherwise, but if you don't want to do that, basically what you want to do with this thing is snipe, and we're going to go full bloody no-scope Rambo here. 1, 2 for you, 1, 2 for you, 2 for you, and 1 for everyone else because Gunfu should be activated to crit every shot. And we're going to be spamming the space bar. That one gets sent into space. We'll be seeing you later, mate. And also, that guy left his head behind, but the rest of him's going into space again. Knocked into bloody, I don't know, next week. That's probably not long enough. Maybe next millennia. The body gets taken out. The head slowly floats down after that. Another one on the moon. We're going to have a gunner plaza on the moon soon. We'll have to get, I don't know, maybe the Enclave will deal with that from their Kovac Mount Doom platform. Is that cannon? Is 476 cannon? Who knows? We'll go some no-scoping now. Because I can't bloody see a thing. There's bloody foliage in the way. You've got an MG42, do you? No? Well, you got nothing now. And I think the fight is pretty much won by now. Oh, here comes a bullet. That was interesting. That looked more like a 45 than a 50. So the VATS object Probably because it's explosive, right? It makes the bullet slightly different looking. And what you got there, friend? No, it's just a AS valve. They're still pretty mean, so we'll go ahead and shoot these guys. Again, there we go. Little no-scope kill there. So I kind of don't rate the reflex sights because with a weapon like this, I feel like you ought to be sniping because the DPS on this thing, it's pretty low. It's very, very low. But it does feel like it's hitting hard some of the time. When it takes 4 or 5 shots to drop a target hitting them center mass, we can blame for that bloody bullet sponginess for that. But if we hit him, we get a kill if we hit him twice in the head. And if we are hitting them center mass or sneaking, that's enough to drop him in 1 shot. See, that was a quick scope. Add that to my... No, oi, no stim packing. Wait till we reload. Actually, never mind, we got 2 bullets. Alright. We've got 1 person left, do we? See if we can't go back into the caution here. Actually, I think I've got a better idea than to use a reflex sight. There we go. Alright, so that actually worked out pretty well. The shortcomings of it having slow DPS as a part of its slow rechambering rate very much made up for in the fact that you can just gun through and VATS like that so quick. So I think it balances itself out pretty well there, and it's not a path that I see many of these things take. Usually they go by the rules of the game. It's a big, heavy, 2-handed weapon, yada, yada, yada. It takes up a lot of AP. This one, a little bit different from the norm, and I think it benefits greatly from it. Very fun. Okay, so with the knowledge that this thing is slightly better off being used at long range and with a suppressor because multipliers and such, well, let's use this thing in a way that would be useful for us. Now, Swan's over there with his mates, and he's unaggroed right now. He dealt with whatever they were shooting at before, which is great, but we've got a bunch of other things to shoot at, so whilst we got a cheeky little knockdown versus that other super mutant, Swan over here is going to take a lot of killing to kill. Now, can we VATS him from here? Because I will like to speed this up a little bit, but yeah, look at the difference between DPS. You can fire this thing like, I dare say, 3 times as fast as you would normally be able to fire it whilst utilizing that. So that's really good, and I guess everything in real time being slowed down makes that even more impressive. Now, he's kind of close right now. I'm thinking we might be able to nail him through the thing here. Ooh, he's attacking something else. Whatever it was that ran off, he found him. He shot him in the knee right there. Something Skyrim joke. And where is he? Guess we'll just go for that. I generally don't shoot him like this, but I guess it is certainly a way to go about it. And we'll skip over to this side of the trains now. And I think he's a little bit too low to actually be hittable. Or the trains are just a little bit too high up. Now, if you wanted to skip the time-consuming reload, what you could do is just switch to other ones, but normally you wouldn't have that option because you've only got one in the game, unless you start duplicating, which, you know, no one's gonna be mad at you for doing that. This is your game and your problem if you make it unfun for yourself. And I guess the jig is up right now, so we'll use something else. We'll use this. We'll have a little bit more explosive punch with this, and we should be fairly okay. Just stagger ourselves out of that and get more of a look at the sprinting animation. It hasn't changed or anything, it's just that. It is what it is. And we're slipping back out of danger. We won't be for very long. We'll go back to sniping him like this. So, when you're out of a scope vision and, you know, sometimes it does sort of cut you off from what the animation looks like when you're rechambering in third person while aiming down sights. So to give you just an idea of what that looks like, there you go. And we are in Nerd Rage, which is bad news for you, mate, because we've got Destroyer of Acadia. That means we killed a bunch of synths for it. And you know what that gives me? Damage. Lots and lots of damage. Now, probably the smartest thing to do right now is grab a scoped variant so I can... Whoops. I'm out of scoped variants, except for that one. This one doesn't have a suppressor, but she'll be right. And try to get a cheeky knockdown. And this critical should do it. Take your time, why don't you? And we actually get an Idiot Savant proc there, and Managed to level up, which means we finished the fight with full health, which is nice. He's twitching. Getting a bit rainy here. Let's move on to one more monster, I reckon. Okay, I want you to note the damage on this. 693 feels a bit strong, right? What if I told you that I've got a bunch of addictions right now? So if I go down to the J's and then unequip the thing, or rather actually equip the thing, where is it? Is that it? No, hang on. There's no star. There it is. Oh, I've got 1900 damage now. In this game, it really doesn't matter which weapon you use. If you find the Junkie's prefix and just add a bunch of addictions, and now we're doing only 1800 because reasons, that's okay. We still get the massive sneak multipliers, so let's go ahead and shoot this thing. We've got a bunch of debuffs to our agility, though, so we don't have as much AP to go around. But the shots that we do get with our AP, you know, and just an easy 10,000 damage. We'll just keep on shooting it. It's probably going to find us, or it might not. Not really sure I am, are ya? No? Right here. Right in front of you. I guess it's because during the night, I tried to block that, and look at how much damage it did. I think we're seeing a huge penalty to endurance here. And yeah, stop that, alright? Stop it. There we go. So now we're in Nerd Rage and all of that is active. What are we getting now? 2500. That's some good damage. Quite like that. I know I said one more before, but I have to try against the bloodthirsty withered feral ghoul. You know, this guy I used to call the Wendigo, then Fallout 76 added Wendigos, and this one, he's not as special anymore. But whatever, we'll get a critical happening here. Nice 10,000 damage. And we'll go for another one. 12,000 this time. Thank you, Concentrated Fire. I think we're in trouble now. He hits us for a lot of damage. If he does that again, we're dead. Rechamber faster. There we go. So, we're a little bit more of a glass cannon, but at least we got all of our damage sorted out here. Yeah, okay. So just 10 endurance, which is 1,200 hit points. If I do a refreshing beverage and just get rid of all of those, and there we go, all addictions removed thanks to that magical drink. I've usually got 12, which just those 2 points of endurance give me, well, not that much. I feel like they were just hitting me a lot harder. I guess because, I don't know, maybe they give you like damage reduction. Don't really know, but we're good now. We're all good. And I think that is about it for the AX50 here. I've had a good time with it. I think I can recommend this to anyone. So if you want to see something like this in your game, links will be in the description to this mod. Be sure to check it out if you are interested. And yeah, you can't really go wrong with it. I can't find anything too at fault with it. It does what it does really well, and it gives you a little bit of extra DPS and VATS if you're getting yourselves into tight situations like that. And the thing feels good, it looks good, and handles fairly well. Feels like a heavy sniper rifle, and what more can you say about that? Recommend this one, download it if you want. Thank you very much for watching, guys.